Welcome to this session. This section, we are going to briefly discuss the chapter or the topic, Jargons will not scare you. You can do mathematics. So I give a small story about my experience from my first year, my first calculus class. So I joined or I entered the first class in mathematics after like 6 weeks from the starting day, because I had been admitted to microbiology and biotechnology course, but I saw it important to transfer from microbiology to mathematics. And my interfaculty transfer went on successfully, and I got an admission to be in a math class. So on the first day, I remember when I went to the class, the teacher was not speaking, but what I saw was this question. This was the question. The lecturer was not speaking, but this was what he had written. I thought the system that he was using was they assume that everyone understanding all these jargons and they can understand what they're doing. So it was proved using, probably assuming you're a first year. How do we read this? That this equals to this. So the first thing is that I was scared by the question itself. And the second thing is that I couldn't understand what this one means. And the last thing was that I couldn't know what is happening here. And then he started writing. So proof, let be given. We find such that whenever surely an innocent first year as I was, I couldn't understand what's happening here. So then now I don't remember whether what I was copying was correct, because I just started photocopying what is being done on the board. But then I couldn't totally understand what's happening. So on that day, this is the first day in my math class. Remember, I've done interfaculty transfer from microbiology. So I started asking myself, how stupid was I to change from where I was to come to this? Because this is not the mathematics that I expected to get. I knew that because I've done some mathematics, I got an A in high school, then math was as smooth as solving simple equations like x squared minus 2 minus 4x, say plus 2 equals to such things, where you can see numbers and then you can do addition, multiplication, subtraction, division. That's the math that I'm used to. It's not these abstract things. But remember, this is a first year problem. Now, that first day at night, I really had it rough on my own. Should I also change to go back where I was, or should I remain here? But the biggest problem is that there was no window to do another transfer. So I couldn't go back to where I came from. So I was to stay in this class up to the end of my fate. So next day, the same class, there's this other question. Now, the lecturer writes differentiation. And then definition, it writes now this is what the teacher writes. That the derivative of a function f of function this is another function given by this, provided this limit exists. Now I was even scared. So is it that this word lim is what means limit? So I raised up my hand. So I'm asked, so what is the meaning of this lim? I was actually laughed at because those who attended the class on day one had already been told that LIM means is short form of limit. So this is read as f prime of x equals to limit of f of x plus h minus f of x over h as h approaches 0. So I was laughed at because I couldn't understand with the meaning of the word LIM. So I really felt bad. Will I survive in this world of jargons? Because the math I used to do is not the same things I'm saying here. Because there are many wordings, there are things which I don't understand. But then along the way, I found a friend who was willing to help me understand what they have done, what they had done before. So he explained to me that this one means limit, and this is when you write this, is not read as f into brackets x close brackets. This read as f of x. So this is how we read it in mathematics. So then I started now connecting dots. Now I think now I had understood that this means the short form of limit. And then when I went, I asked about the previous question where it was proved using notation or argument. So the mathematical friend of mine explained to me that this notation means epsilon, and this one means delta. And when they write this, it is read as limit of f of x as x approaches a is L. Now I started now getting some sense of what's happening here. So when you write this one, this means limit. When they write this one, this means f of. When they write this one, this is not x arrow a, means that x approaches a. So after understanding this definition, then I was able now to see why in his solution for the question that he wrote limit now you could now be able to know what this one means. That this means limit of 3x minus 2 as x approaches 3 is 7. So with time, after understanding the definition of what this one means, I was able now to follow through the proof that I was copying, just copying religiously to understand what was happening. So there are two things here. First thing, like from my experience, I had problems because I didn't know the notation that was being used. And number two, I didn't know the definition of the things I was copying. So you might find yourself in the same problems. So when you find yourself in those problems, please don't give up. I was also a victim of the same, but after repeated reading or revising about the definition, I will be able to understand what that one means. And then from my mathematical friend, he was able to explain to me what's happening. And then I started now understanding slowly by slowly, and then things started making sense. So at university, there are two things that you need to remember. Respect definitions. Once you have respected definitions, get people who can help you understand what is happening, go what we call the mathematical friends, and try to do practice. So after doing several practice, I find out at the end of the semester that the course was not that very hard. The only thing that I was suffering from was understanding the definition, and things went on well. I finally understood what's happening, and in this course, I scored an A. So the first time problems, if you things don't seem to be very straightforward, when you're doing them, that should not be a point for you to give up. Never, never give up. The thing that you have to do is that get the correct friend, get the notation well, get the definition correct, and all these things which seems to be very abstract will make a lot of sense to you. So the thing is that don't be scared by the jargons you see. You can do mathematics. So everything is possible. Once you are willing to work, you have your mathematical friend, and you understand the definitions. Thank you.